And then came the case of Nataline Sarkisyan. The doctors at UCLA told Nataline Sarkisyan that if she didn't have a liver transplant, she would die. Cigna denied coverage for the transplant on the grounds that the transplant in her case was experimental. Nataline was just 17, a few years younger than my own daughter. Her family turned to the media in Los Angeles for support and to the California Nurses Association, which helped them stage a protest in front of Cigna's California offices in Glendale. It was just a few days before Christmas, and the case attracted a lot of media attention. CNN was there to cover the protest live. Back in Philadelphia, in corporate headquarters on the 16th floor, my phone began to ring off the hook. Reporters and producers in Los Angeles, and it seemed like everywhere else, wanted to know if Cigna was reconsidering its position. After I told executive management about all the media attention in the case, the company pretty soon, that same day, decided to cover the transplant. But because family members were on their way to the protest, the Cigna case manager wasn't able to communicate the decision to the parents. I called the lawyer at the Cigna office in Glendale and asked him to figure out a way to get the message to the family. And I was watching the protest on live TV when a friend whispered in Nataline's mother's ear that Cigna would pay for the transplant, and they were joyous. Unfortunately, the decision came too late. Nataline died a few hours later. Being a parent, I couldn't imagine what the family was going through. But because of the tragic outcome, media attention just intensified. Because I was the company spokesman, angry people from all over the world were filling up my mailbox and my email box and my voicemail box with really hateful messages. But I could understand why. It was the only way they knew how to vent. Would Nataline have lived if Cigna had approved the coverage in the first place? We'll never know, of course, but I'll always wonder. Afterward, the family hired Mark Garagos, the famous Los Angeles lawyer, to bring suit against Cigna. But because Nataline's health care coverage was through a private employer that was protected by ERISA, he could not bring suit against Cigna in state court. If you filed suit in federal court, it would have been meaningless because remedies would have been limited to the value of the procedure. But since it didn't take place at all, the procedure, the family would not have received anything even if it won. If a patient has health coverage through a private employer, HMOs and health insurers face no financial consequences for mishandling claims or for their denials. There's no accountability. The Supreme Court in Pilot Life Insurance versus Detto states that state common law causes of action arising from the improper processing of a claim are preempted. Under the under the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, which is ERISA, the Pilot Life decision, and the Pilot Life decision, lawsuits are removed to federal court where victims can only recover the cost of the procedure or services denied in the first place, and no damages or penalties are allowed. As a result, HMOs and insurers are largely free to deny access to care without fear of reprisal or financial consequences. Any health care overhaul, in my opinion, should overturn Pilot Life and restore the reach of state common law. The 1-2 punch of my visit to the fairgrounds in the case of Nataline Sarkisyan brought home the one fact I knew to be true, that health insurance companies are willing to confuse their customers and dump the sick to satisfy their Wall Street investors.